Hey everyone. First I want to say thank you all for contributing to my first Conlangs video. For anyone who didn't see that, there will be a link in the description. It's kind of important to watch that before you watch this. In this video I'm going to be talking a little bit about the critiques I got on that video and some more ideas I had to build on my initial concept for a Conlang that could be used all over the world. I'm very excited about this. I'm trying to get it to go somewhere. So, biggest critique I got was that my critique of Esperanto was ill-informed. Totally. If you look at the link on that video that I made before, all I really did was read the Wikipedia page for Esperanto, and I talked about some things I already knew about Esperanto. And that's not enough information at all for me to gauge how easy it is to learn or what makes it a good Conlang. So I read some forums this time, mainly looking at the question of how easy is Esperanto to learn. What I've learned is Esperanto has a lot of the same structures and ideas that I was talking about and that I liked in the constructive, not criticism, but added ideas to the Reddit thread on my first video. It uses the Latin alphabet, there are no spelling irregularities, there are lots of cognates, and it's agglutinative. Those are four things I think are wonderful. But something I'm worried about is how easy it is for people who don't speak European languages to learn, as I said before. And what didn't help me is that these forums are in English, so all the people on them already spoke a European language. So Esperanto is going to be easier for them to learn, and not as easy to learn if you're speaking Mandarin or if you're speaking Japanese to begin with. But that makes me wonder, if I were to make a language that is easier to learn for everybody, is the middle point between East and West too far from either side? And by that I mean, like, if I take things from Mandarin and things from English and I make a universal language out of that, will that just be too hard for English speakers and Mandarin speakers to learn? So let me know what you think in the comments below. Is there a way to bridge the gap that I can make a bridge small enough, if that makes sense? Reddit also gave me a few good ideas, as I mentioned earlier, things that I want to bring up here. A big one is to use Latin to help build a vocabulary, because Latin is a building block of a lot of modern languages anyway. And this person in particular who was talking about this said that I wouldn't need too many phonemes to start to emulate Latin. He quoted, or they quoted 12 to 18 letters total to make up an alphabet in this language. But that leads to another issue, which was brought up by a different Redditor on a different comment, that if I restrict how many phonemes I have, that will lead to longer words to express as much information, and longer words will lead to faster speech, and faster speech will lead to it being harder to understand. So I thought of a couple ways to fix that. One is we could just let homophones be homophones. Homophones are in every natural language. There's bound to be homophones, and context should sort them out. If I'm going for unique words, and this is an idea not to brag, shot down immediately by my fiance, but I'm going to go with it anyway, tonality. There's already over 1.5 billion individuals who use tonal languages, so nothing crazy, 2 or 3 tone system could help sort out some of those homophones in the long run. Now, one of the more constructive comments was one talking about my language being an auxiliary language, something that's just used in formal settings to help diplomats communicate. So I want my language to be able to be spoken by everybody, but if that might never even happen. Why do I care if a Chinese farmer can communicate with a German auto mechanic. Like, that doesn't matter. What matters is that the people in charge of the nations can communicate. I guess, I don't know, I'm getting into politics. But if I'm thinking of an auxiliary language, I'm thinking of a language that's mostly written. So why would we need phonemes at all to be written? Why would I need my language to define how words sound? Why couldn't I just use a logographic writing system like Chinese? And I know I ruffled some feathers talking about this in the comments of that initial post, but in China, they teach one writing system. However, they have a bunch of different speaking groups. They have a bunch of different spoken languages, I mean. Cantonese, Mandarin, Tibetan. You've got people all over speak different dialects and different languages entirely, and yet they can all read Mandarin because the words are not tied to how the words sound. The words are tied to what the word means. So maybe it'd be easier to make a universal language that's just a writing system everybody can read. And then, beyond that, I was thinking about, well, how could you convey that in real time, not in print? Face-to-face speech. And then I was like, what if we had a sign language, a universal sign language, that as you're speaking, you're signing, and other people just know the signs and will know what you're saying? I know that there's multiple sign languages, even just in English, let alone other languages. I'm sure they have something. I should look into that. I'm going to look into that, but I just wanted to know how crazy that would be if we had a universal sign language that we just spoke over to convey our ideas. Okay, so a logographic writing system and a universal sign language would work great for print and face-to-face speech, but it would not work great for blind people or people who are making phone calls. So that leads me back to my initial thoughts of how to write and create words for a universal language. So, like I said earlier, it should be agglutinative. Just to add one more thing to my last video. My last video was mostly just about how it ought to be spoken. That being said, that it ought to be spoken, we should also have a sign language for it. We should be able to include everybody. If I'm trying to make a language for everybody, we ought to include every person into it so that nobody's excluded. Does that make sense? Maybe I'm too much of a hippie, but I like the idea of not just inventing the speech and the writing, but also coming up with a sign language. And I'm just like coming to realize that this is an enormous project, right? If I'm going to continue talking about this and trying to create this, I'm going to need a lot of help. And then that led me to another critique of Esperanto, that it's created by one man. That one person sat down and created this thing, and I feel like if we're going to make something truly universal, it should be a collective group project, that not just one person can make the vocabulary and the grammar, but people should contribute to it. So if this video is well received, I'll make a Discord and see if we can start hashing it out and fleshing it out, and if we can make it real, that'd be really cool. Rip this apart. Tell me in the comments everything I'm doing wrong. Tell me all the times that people have tried to do this, and I'll dig into it, I'll do more research, and see if this thing that I'm thinking about is possible. Thank you very much for watching Word Nerd. Tune in next week for another etymology video. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and have a great day. Bye-bye.